Do you post your content on multiple platforms and need an easier, faster way? Maybe you're tired of copying and pasting text into your website and adjusting formatting and uploading images, setting publishing dates, and then repeating the entire process again inside of your email platform. Well, that's exactly the problem one of my clients had. They published a daily article 365 days a year. Their team needs to spend 30 minutes uploading to their website and another 30 minutes uploading to MailChimp every single day. So what if that entire workflow could shrink to just 5 minutes and all you had to do was upload content into one place? Well, that's the solution we'll walk through today using the automation platform make.com to automatically create website blog posts from a spreadsheet. And this same process can work in any database tool, whether it's Google Sheets or Notion or Monday.com or on website builders like Squarespace or Wix, as long as they allow API access. But today we'll show you it using WordPress and Airtable. So this workflow is really a game changer because teams that publish frequently often experience burnout, not necessarily from creating, but from the repetitive administrative tasks that can drain your energy. So with automation, you can save time, increase consistency, reduce human error, simplify training for new team members, and it allows your teams to publish daily content without the daily stress. Your work becomes less about the formatting and more about the message you want to share. Hey, I'm Paul, owner of Matsu Consulting, where I help teams streamline their operations by building them systems, processes, and automations. If you want to connect with me or work with me, check out the links in my website in the description below. And please like and subscribe. Okay, so we're starting here in Airtable because the problem is that uploading your content can be slow, repetitive, and manual. The solution then is to move all your content into a structured, predictable database like Airtable, so make.com can use it to build beautifully formatted website posts. So your first step is then to create a new Airtable base. And here I've created the sample database for us with just one table called posts. And here are all the different fields that we will be uploading into WordPress. To go over the fields, we have a title, which will be the title of the article. We have the date, the day the date is published, the time that the WordPress post gets published. So here it's 3 p.m. The author, you can have multiple authors here if you want. One important detail with the authors is that the author must match the exact spelling of the user in WordPress. So if you have an author like John C. Smith in WordPress, your author then here also has to be John C. Smith. It can't just be John Smith. We also have categories, tags. You could add a featured image. You could also add an excerpt. Now these next couple of fields get into the main content of the article, which you can add custom sections to. Like, for instance, I have a couple custom sections here for like a quote by an author, the quote text. So like from Wayne Gretzky or Michael Scott from The Office, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You could link to that quote, which would go to an article where that quote is referenced. You could have a couple other custom sections like a focus section, which is basically like a summary of the article. You could have the body of the section. And all of these are long text fields where you turn on enable rich text formatting. That way you can bold text, you can italicize, you can put in hyperlinks, you could even put in numbered or ordered lists as well. And we also here have reflection questions, and you could see like these have numbered lists. I should also mention that when you are working with long text fields here in Airtable and you enable rich text formatting, there's a help article on the Airtable website that tells you how to use Markdown language and what types of formatting is accepted. So they have headings, you can bold, you can italicize, strike through, use checkboxes, unordered lists, ordered lists, hyperlinks, etc. If you want the full list, you can visit this website. I'll link it in the YouTube video description below as well. And once we get into make.com, I will show you how to transform this Markdown language into HTML, because that's what many of the website builders like WordPress or Wix or Squarespace use. You have to format all the text in HTML in order for it to be accepted. And then a couple additional fields which will get automatically updated once the automation runs. So we have a status field where there is not yet uploaded, sent to WordPress, and scheduled. We have a last modified timestamp where once the status field gets updated, this timestamp will stamp the time that this was previously updated. And then we have the website slug, which will automatically fill in once the WordPress post is created, and it will grab that URL and post it here. So once your base is structured, you are ready to move on to the automation phase in Make. Okay, so remember the problem. The content is trapped in your spreadsheet and manually be retyped into WordPress. So this section will solve that by setting up make.com to grab the content from Airtable, format it correctly, and then publish it automatically to your website. So let's build this scenario step by step. So module number 1 is search records in Airtable. And you could see like the base is pulling from the correct base, the table is pulling from the post table, and you'll see that I set up a view called send to WordPress right here, send to WordPress. It just has a simple filter where the WordPress status is send to WordPress. So anything that is marked with send to WordPress will automatically appear in this view. And that is how this scenario in Make is going to be pulling that information. You could leave all these other fields blank, the formula, the output, and limit to 1 when you're testing. Limit is just how many records you want the automation to run on. Once you do all that, click Save. Now these next several modules are all marked down to HTML. It essentially transformed the markdown language long text fields in Airtable. It transforms them into HTML so that when it outputs it into WordPress, it'll be formatted as HTML tags. Each individual section within Airtable needs its own module to get transformed. So you'll see I have the quote right here that will be getting transformed. We have the focus section, the body section, and the reflection questions. They all will get transformed from Markdown into HTML. This next module, Search Users on WordPress, is how you fill in the author for who is the writer of your post. You take whatever is in the author column, and then it searches the website for any of those users. Remember, the spelling has to match exactly. The next step is to create a post on WordPress. So if we click into this module, you'll see all the fields that you have to map. So the title of the article, the content, I'm going to skip it for now. I'll come back to it in just a moment. If your website has multiple types of posts, whether it's posts, pages, or any custom taxonomies, this is where you would select. The excerpt is the subtitle, the date, and then the time you want to publish it. You could fill in categories. Just note that the same way that we search for users, you'll also have to search for any of the other taxonomies on WordPress, whether it's categories, tags, authors, media, like any images you want to upload. You have to use that search function, fill in the ID here in categories or tags, similar to how I filled in the author here. If I return to the top to the content section, this is the body of the post where the majority of your copy and your images and videos and other content you want to include in your article will go. I formatted already with HTML tags some information for the unique sections I have. So remember, I had a quote section, which will link to this URL. And then I also had the author of the quote. I have right here the long text of the quote itself. And then this div is wrapping this entire section right here in a gray background. And the body of the content will be here. And then the reflection questions will also be wrapped in a gray background right here. So that's what this content is. You can kind of put in your own coding if you want to create more sections or additional headers like header 1, header 2, header 3. If you want to put in dividers, you can as well, or put in custom colors and fonts. This is where you would type in a lot of the HTML language here. Once the post is created, this module get a post will pull in all the information from the post that was just created. It'll give you this entire list of all the content. And I want that so that I can update the Airtable record. So the WordPress status field, I want to update to scheduled complete. And then finally, I want to update the website slug, yourwebsite.com/ and then the slug would essentially be like the title of the actual post itself, and then save that. And once you do all that, save it, and your automation is good to go, and let's test it out. Okay, so I'm gonna run this once. Okay, looks like it worked, so let's hop over to our website and see the finished product. Okay, here we are on the back end of WordPress, and you'll see here is the article that just got created. Remember, it was called Day One Article. Let's open both the back end and preview the front end. Here's the title, here's the author, and if you click into mine, you'll see that it links to my author title. Here's the date that I wanted it published. See, this is the quote from Michael Scott and Wayne Gretzky, and if you click into this, it'll open up this article. That is the source article. This is the quote itself. Here's the focus section that has the gray background, the body, and you see all the rich text got transformed from Markdown language to HTML. And then the reflection questions which also had the gray background. So that's the front end. Let's look at the back end. So you'll see here's the excerpt that got filled in, the author that got selected, the category that got selected. Here is the rich text that got filled in with all the HTML tags as well. So today we tackled a familiar problem, the slow, repetitive, manual process of uploading content to WordPress, especially for teams that publish frequently. And we showed you a solution, how to use Airtable or really any structured database as your single source of truth, and use make.com to convert the content, format it correctly, and then publish it to your website automatically. And the result is what used to take an hour can take 5 minutes. Your team can spend less time copying and pasting and more time actually creating. So again, my name is Paul Matsushima at Matsu Consulting. If you like this tutorial and want to connect or work with me, check out the links in my website in the description below. Please like and subscribe to this video, and I'll see you in the next one.